Okay, everyone, we are on air. I will call the meeting to order. We have established a quorum. All members are here. We want to thank the TV6 people. We want to acknowledge and thank them for being on board on all of these meetings. It's really appreciated by us and the residents. Is there any changes to the agenda that need to be made, or can we do it by acclamation? All right, hearing none, the agenda is approved. Approval of the hearing minutes, there is one change. Diane did attend that meeting. She came late, or essentially, no, she was on time, but she was in the January meeting. Would you add her name? Are there any other corrections that need to be made? Okay, then we will accept those by acclamation, the changes by acclamation. Thank you. Moving on, the chairman's report. A year ago, we realized from feedback from our residents that we needed to improve the efficiency of the services of the staff performs for our residents. We decided one approach was to introduce more quality methodology into our operations. And we have been working at it, but then COVID pandemic hit, requiring more sanitized approach to our external and internal communications, which has clearly slowed us down. And then along with the communities, we were hit by malware activation, which has slowed down many new projects. And the malware is getting old, and the COVID is getting old as an excuse. But these events have affected everything we do here and has made life difficult for staff as well as residents. I want to assure everyone that no staff member is being paid to sit home and watch soaps. We are aware and appreciate all the interest in getting our community center opened again. Residents have let us know that they are willing to accept the inconvenience of safely queuing up outside the community center with one person being attended to at a time so that they would stay safe. But if you've been in the service area of the community center, you would realize there are no outside windows that could be useful in providing for improved air circulation. The windowless walls of the other office are behind the counters, so those full-time workers in a windowless space wouldn't be safe. According to the State Health Organization recommends we would need to implement a very large upgrade to give us a higher standard of air circulation. So at the moment, that is the problem, bringing back all the staff to the building. Not only must we try to protect our residents, we're trying to protect our staff. Everyone wants this to be over with, and with vaccinations more widespread, it will be. Staff has worked hard to make sure residents are being vaccinated close to home without having to stand in long lines. Once those of our staff who have face-to-face encounters are vaccinated, we may begin to open the community center. All this takes time with the limited amounts of vaccines. We have also experienced another large problem in our alterations department. We are shorthanded by 3 inspectors. We're trying to fill the positions, but our method of doing inspection is not standard, so no one can be up and running the first day given our present system. It will take training. The board is aware and is trying to shore up the department, as you will see with some of the resolutions on the agenda. Some will cause consternation up front, but it's better than halfway through a project. Please be patient. Some good directors are working on this problem. On a related subject, we're seeing an increased number of calls, more angry residents, more residents starting rumors about monies that are being collected and being used unwisely. Actually, all the money we collect is being accounted for. Checking on that is part of the job of the board. The assessments did not go up, even though water, electricity, garbage, wages, material, and contractor wages all went up. All the expenses went up, but because of the furlough and the delay in some work, we had a surplus, which we will be putting to work this year. So you are receiving a rebate. For those who think you could do a better job, remember this mutual belongs to you. Please plan to run for the board. There will be 4 seats that need filling in September. Attend committee meetings and assist in any way you can. We welcome your help. You can be part of the self-management team instead of being frustrated, criticizing. You can make the changes you think will make this a better place. Thank you. That is my report for today. Open forum, do we have any emails or letters in the open forum, please?
Yes, we do, Madam President. The first one is from Patty Rich. I'm Patty Rich, residing at 74D Calle Aragon, with carport located at number 78, space number 4. I'm requesting the board to please consider some additional carport care during fall and winter months due to the additional foliage dropping. At times, it becomes not only an eyesore, but actually a real hazard when it piles up. Depending on the location of the carport, the need varies, so it wouldn't be necessary everywhere, but is desperately needed in my area during the winter months. Perhaps someone periodically could manage the extra care needed. When I called and requested service a few weeks ago, someone came out immediately and cleaned up the mess. So appreciated Becky Becky Johnson assisting me with my concern. That was your first comment, and then we have one more. This is from Mark Lustig. Good morning, board members. I'm ready to complain about the noise coming from the banner above me. They seem to be doing some kind of renovation project, which now has gone on for 11 months. They stay past 5 p.m. every day, and they come every weekend and on the holidays. I've called security, and they've done nothing. I've called compliance, and they told me to call security and have it documented. I've called security at least a dozen times, so there should be plenty of documentation. I'm attaching the resolution 011608 that says what they're doing is not allowed. Please do something. I'm stuck inside because of the pandemic, and I can't even escape the noise. Thank you, Mark Lustig. And then he just attached a copy of the resolution regarding noise and construction. And that is it.
Thank you very much, Eileen. We appreciate it. Okay, Cash, are you ready for the responses to the open forum?
Yes, I'm ready. Thank you, Madam Chair. A resident expressed concern about laundry rooms, and the response has been the Media and Communication Department routinely publishes information about items residents should call resident services and the best time to call resident services. This information is public in WhatsApp, in the Village Breeze, and the Village website. Second inquiry item was ramp request for laundry room number 42, and a plan for contractor to bid on would need to be prepared, and civil engineers should be the board direct the staff. So maybe the staff, we need to consider whether or not to have a ramp in laundry room 42.
Carol, will you take that up in your MNC?
Third item, member was unsatisfied with the remarks from staff on financial matter. While the staff did give an apology to resolve the matter, staff is taking the opportunity to develop a formal apology process for mistakes that do happen occasionally. Another inquiry member was asking about the costs of the insurance that tripled in the last year to this year. We have already replied to this, and in fact, President Margolis just talked about it as well. The insurance has gone up because of different things, and also for property valuation assessment has gone up considerably. That's it, Madam Chair.
Okay, I missed having Jeff reply to the two that we had. Jeff, do you have any statements to make on those?
On the current ones, President Margolis and to the board, the two requests, one, we do clean carports 3 times a year, and if there is a special need, then Chris's team goes out and does an evaluation and does a special cleanup if necessary, and then we do it on a regular schedule basis of 3 times a year with regards to the cleanup there. With regards to the second one on the noise, we'll circle back with both compliance and security, which is the same department under Carlos, and get a clarification on that issue, definitely.
Okay, and we want to say that if you want to have the carport, if there is a problem in the carport, please call resident service, and they will take a look at it and take care of it. That is the correct manner to handle this problem. Thank you. Okay, so Juanita, you're on for the VMS update.
Thank you, Madam President. Good morning. On behalf of VMS, I'd like to talk this morning a little about our employee situation and human resources. We get a staffing report every month at VMS, and it's very eye-opening. There is a salary survey going on by an outside company, which we will share when we get the results back. But the salary survey that was done previously showed that we are about 10% below the average in our salaries, which may be one of the reasons why we have a little bit of a problem hiring. People say all the time, everybody's out of a job, there shouldn't be any problem hiring people. That's not true. As of January 31st, we had 22 full-time vacancies and 14 part-time vacancies. And it's the part-time vacancies I'd like to emphasize this morning. The part-time vacancies are our gate ambassadors. Now, I know because of COVID, a lot of people have been reluctant to be a gate ambassador. It used to be a prime job here at the village, and we had more applicants than we had spots. But we do have 14 openings for part-time gate ambassadors. You can go onto our website and look under hiring and see how to apply for those jobs. And we really would encourage any of you who would be interested. We really need 14 more of them. We had 14 terminations in January, 10 were resignations, and 4 were terminated. So we have a constant in and out, and our human resources department is always looking for more people. We hear about the very noticeable ones, like we're interviewing for hiring the new CFO, and we do have some of the other more prominent jobs that may come to people's attention. But when you look and see that there are 22 openings full-time, you know that HR is constantly recruiting and trying to get enough people. We've had the first of our director training sessions. It was yesterday. Looked like it was very well attended. And we have the second one coming up March 1st, which is going to be by our VMS attorney, and it will be on legal issues and particularly the union contract. So there's another one coming up there is a YouTube video on the trust, which I encourage everybody who is interested in what's going on in the village to take a peek at. The VMS board is working hard, looking at various evaluations for staff, the management contract, and participating in some of the other issues that are going on, like the bylaws reviews, et cetera, things like that. So I appreciate everybody's support, and that's my report for this month.
Thank you very much, Juanita. Andre, we'll hold that to the closed session if you don't mind. I don't think we want to open that up in this session. So please remind me in the closed session.
Well, this is not to do with a specific case. This is just in general.
Okay, go ahead.
Juanita, you mentioned there are 22 full-time vacancies and 14 part-time vacancies, and there are 14 terminations. Very good information. However, between the total head count from HR and the total people outside working, there is a gap there. The gap is the injury and the illness situation. Do we have an injury and illness report? I heard sometimes people complain, the VMS complain that, yeah, we have people got sick and they are out there injured and they cannot work. So there's additional staff shortage besides the vacancies. Do we have any report on that? And how do we remediate and make sure we got sufficient staff out there working?
Jeff, do you want to go ahead and answer that?
Sure. To Board Member Tornick and to the rest of the board, we do keep stats and records of our workers' compensation cases. Those are, and when I say workers' compensation, that is when somebody is injured, they go on workers' comp, and there is a process where they file and receive assistance when they're on workers' comp. Those positions, when they are vacant, are those still paid positions, and we can't, in our budgetary process, we can't fill those positions when somebody is on workers' comp because they are still on a full-time paid status relative to our operations, and that's true in most organizations. So, but we do track that, and we do know the impact that has on our organization. With regards to illness, we track anybody that's like sick out for a few days or has an operation or some kind of long-term sickness, illness. We have short-term, long-term care, and so yeah, we track all of those, and our departments are in context with the HR department to make sure that we're as much as possible staffing them up to meet their needs. But yes, we do track that. And if necessary, and if you'd like, we can compile we can add that to the report that Juanita was referencing.
Yeah, the question is if they impact productivity, what's the plan from VMS that improve the productivity?
Okay, Andre, I think we've discussed. We will discuss. If he puts that together, we'll be set. Okay, let's move on. We've got a lot to do. The CEO report now. Thank you, Jeff.
Sure. Madam President, to the board and to the residents this morning, good morning. Two issues that I wanted to make note of, again, relating to COVID-19. A couple of stats real quick. The good news is that throughout the state of California, and in particular in Orange County, we're seeing numbers go down. The two critical areas that we certainly track a lot of is cases. We went under 1,000 cases So that's really good news. We're in the 900s, but we're below 1,000 in cases. We were at the worst case scenario, we were back up at 3,000 cases a day. So being under 1,000 is really good news. That's a great trend. And the other really good trend that's occurring now since the major outbreak in December and January was that our hospitalizations and ICUs. Last week, we were over 1,300 people in hospitalized in Orange County, and now we're down to 1,000. So that's a good trend. And our ICU cases are at 331, and that was up above 350 last week. The other good news is that when you look at the tiers, we're in the purple tier, which is the tier 1, with most restrictive, but our numbers are dropping pretty significantly in all of those categories. We were at a 46.6% case rate last week. We were at 85% a month ago, and now we're at 39%. So that's cases per 100. So that's a really good trend. We need to get down, unfortunately, to 8% in order to go into the next tier. So we still have a ways to go, but the trend is very positive in that direction. So on stats, that's the basic points I wanted to make. The other point I wanted to make was the really good news, and I know a lot of the board members have heard this before, but and to our residents. This last Saturday, we concluded our 3rd week of vaccinations, and on Friday and Saturday, we did not vaccinate on Sunday this last weekend, but on Saturday, after concluding that, we did our calculations, and we have vaccinated over 7,600 residents in Laguna Woods Village that are 65 and over, which I think is a great accomplishment by Memorial Care, our staff, and thanks also obviously to Orange County Healthcare for getting us the vaccines. So that cumulative total, we are looking at doing another round of vaccinations this Friday. And if we get our allocation, and we have not heard yet, but we should hear today or tomorrow, we would also do vaccinations on Saturday. Because we are now into the 65 plus category, we're using a code red system to notify people, to contact them and get them down to the facility. So it's going to be kind of a, and as opposed to in the past where we have had an appointment basis, we're now going to be using the code red to call you and say, hey, you need to get down here as soon as you can get down here, and it'll be in a sense of first come, first served basis. And we'll be doing the vaccinations that way. Part of the reason for that is that getting a group number through code red has gotten us a bigger turnout. We do have some residents that probably need to go into resident services and use the resident services at vmsinc.org and update their information, because what we heard was that some people said they didn't get a call or a text. Well, that's because we may have outdated information, so you do need to go into the website and update your information. So Resident Services has that when we use code red. The positive nature of this is that we anticipate with Friday, and if we get vaccinations for Saturday, that we will then conclude our first shot operation and have reached those 65 and older in our community. The number of people over 65 are also going to the Orange County system and using Othina. So our numbers are spread out a little bit more, so that gives us more coverage, so that's good news. And then in the following weekends, we will be now going back and doing our second dose process with regards to those 7,600 that we know that we have received their first cases. So we'll go kind of going back in the same process of who got your shot and when, and be calling you up and making sure that you know about your second appointment and make sure that you are in that time frame of approximately 28 days for the Moderna shot, which is what we've been receiving. So I just wanted to say I think it's been fantastic that we've been able to get the vaccine to our community like this. We're the only community that's been able to do a specific process like this. I think the leadership of all the board members and allowing the VMS staff to work on this with Memorial Care, who's just been fantastic with all their volunteers, and again, Orange County Health for making sure that we have the vaccine coverage. And that's my report for today, and I'll turn it over to Siobahn.
Thank you, Jeff. Honorable President, members of the board, I have a few announcements this morning that I'd like to share with you and the community. First of all, on Monday, which is the President's Day holiday, there will be no fixed route bus service. If a resident needs a ride, they are encouraged to call transportation and arrangements will be made for them. New resident orientation is starting up again in the new calendar year. Residents new to the village are encouraged to attend a virtual new resident orientation session. This informational session is an opportunity for new residents to become familiar with the operating rules of your mutual and talk to a board member who represents your mutual. The next United Mutual orientation session is Wednesday, March 10th at 4:30 p.m. Residents must RSVP by emailing Executive Assistant Becky Jackson at becky.jackson@vmsinc.org. Again, that's becky.jackson@vmsinc.org. There is a new schedule for the coin exchange program, which is for laundry quarters. Beginning February 18th, coin exchange for laundry quarters will be offered once a week on Thursdays from 8 a.m. to noon, or until supplies run out. The new schedule for the new schedule for United residents will be first and third Thursdays of each month at the Performing Arts Center. Again, that's the first and third Thursdays of each month at the Performing Arts Center from 8 a.m. till noon. A reminder for the tennis center and the driving range. The tennis center will be open on Saturdays and Sundays during the vaccination clinics at Clubhouse 7. Players must park in the Clubhouse 2 parking lot and cross Moulton Parkway at the traffic signal. The driving range will be closed on clinic days to accommodate clinic parking. There are new pool hours in effect. Pool 1 is now open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pool 2 from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pool 4 from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Pool 5 from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Swimmers may make reservations up to 7 days in advance using the court's online reservation system or by telephone between 10 a.m. and noon, Monday through Friday, by calling Recreation at 949-597-4382. And lastly, the next free bulky item collection date is Saturday, February 20th. If you're interested, please notify Resident Services prior to setting out your bulky items. Their telephone number is 949-597-4600. And then you place your bulky items near the trash enclosure or in the same location you place your trash bins. Set out your items either the night before or no later than 7 a.m. on collection day. And again, that collection is Saturday, February 20th. And that concludes my updates this morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Siobhan and Jeff. We appreciate your updates. We will now move on to the consent calendar. We have two. I'd like to make sure that everybody's aware that the resolution for the United Committee appointments, Reza has been added back into the Alteration Committee, and consistent, Azar, would you give us a report on the 5501, please?
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, actually, as you and some of the board members are aware, on November, the report for November 2020, December 2020, and January 2021, we have found a few mistakes or not writing correctly the numbers from the finance report. We already sent our request to the finance department of VMS. I have not received adequate response from them. Therefore, at this point, as a treasurer, I cannot ratify November 2020, December 2020, and January 2021. Thank you.
Okay, Manuel, would you like to give a talk or statement?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Sue. I'd just like to mention that I have also been reviewing the information that's supposed to be provided under Civil Code 5500. And I'm only bringing this up because I thought that the president and myself had already made some progress on this, but it doesn't appear that way. And besides the inaccuracies on the financial statements, for example, the amounts in the financial statements don't agree with the general ledger. There is still commingling of funds. There should be a checklist that accounting goes through every month. And what was really alarming was that in November, there were two reimbursements to United from GRF that went back to September, October, and they were over $2 million each. So not only were they late, and then they didn't get deposited till December, and normally those kinds of things happen with an overnight transfer of funds. And then in December, I found a transaction for $2.1 million that was identified as going back to June of 2019. That's a year and a half. Like I said, a checklist, you'd automatically look to see that every reimbursement happens on a timely basis. At 2% interest, that $2.1 million equates to $65,000 in lost interest that United could have earned by investing that money. So I'm just looking at the bank accounts and the commingling of funds and these transfers that aren't happening on a timely basis. And I'm very disappointed that we haven't made more progress on compliance with Davis Sterling. I brought up this shortcoming, for the last couple of years. Same thing with reserve expenditure. So I'm just saying we shouldn't be putting up with this anymore. We should stop right now and make sure that this is discontinued and the right financial statements are put together and these practices stop immediately and the right ones are instituted. This is really serious.
I'm sure that Siobahn and Jeff are taking notes, and I know that Betty is aware of this. She has emailed me this morning, but that didn't answer all our questions. So we are going to move it on that we are not able to as yet, and we want to have a reconciliation, and we probably need to have a meeting with Betty to find out how they're going to make sure that this never happens again. We really need to get this straightened out before we go onward. Okay, so we're going on now to...
Madam President, just a quick adding that it's clear that 3 of the reports, finance reports, the past 3 months is not ratified at this moment.
All right, we will make sure that that is put into the minutes, please. Thank you, Azar. Okay, moving on. We will vote on. We will remove B out of this, and we will. Is there any problem with the consent calendar if we remove B out of this consent calendar? Then I'll take it by acclamation. We now move on to the recommendation. Okay, so we have unfinished business, and Elsie, you're on board now.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. This regards the resolution on the new sub. It isn't a new sublease policy. It's a sublease policy that brings us into alignment with AB. And I just went blank. It's the new law in the state that regards the limits of tenants we can have and various other objects. It's been discussed in front of this board several times. It went back to committee a couple of times, and the last time it went back to committee was it was the governing docs meeting on January 21st. And Director Armendariz had made done a lot of research and done a lot of work, and his version of the work was reviewed and accepted with some minor changes at the January 21st meeting. And included in your package is the new version, which combines the 15 qualifiers with the new resolution, and it also nullifies several other resolutions. And since then, actually last night, I believe, or last afternoon, Director Armendariz found some corrections in the new version of this resolution. So, Pamela, you want to talk about those corrections?
Sure, thank you, Elsie and Madam Chair. The two corrections that were made yesterday, actually one of them is on the staff report, and it relates to the very first resolution that was adopted in 1996, which discontinued a 6-month lease extension. That is null and void, and it is superseded by this new resolution. As you can see by looking at the sublease application for United Mutual, extensions are permissible so long as they occur within a 12-month period. So that was a change that was made yesterday. And the second change that was made appears in the Exhibit A, which is the qualifiers for United Mutual. Section 3, there were several references to resolutions which are null and void, and they should not have appeared in the qualifiers. They were taken out in the staff report, in the endorsement, and in other areas, but they found their way still into the qualifiers list. So we removed those to eliminate any confusion that there might be with old resolutions that are no longer in full force and effect.
And were there a couple of corrections we didn't make that were recommended, Ms. Bashline?
Excuse me?
Were there a couple of corrections that were suggested by Director Armendariz that were not included in the final version?
There was one correction that I believe Director Armendariz felt that the resolution had been canceled, and it has not been canceled. It has to do with the assignment of rent.
Assignment of rents, right.
Yes.
And that's still valid.
Yes.
So, thank you, Pamela and Ms. Bashline, and thank you, Madam Chair, but this, I don't know, if, we voted on this twice, and I'm not really sure what the protocol is, but as far as the Governing Documents Committee is concerned, we recommend the board accept this newest and brightest version.
Okay, is there a second for that? Manny seconds it. I'm going to do a roll call vote. Cash? Okay, yes. Elsie?
Yes.
Ned?
Yes.
Yes. Manuel?
Yes.
Yes. Azar?
Yes.
Reza?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Andre?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
We are done with this one, thank heavens. All right, moving on to new business. Is it Brian or Carl that's going to discuss this one for us?
Brian.
Okay, go ahead, Carl.
No, I said Brian.
Brian,
It's his committee.
I heard I am.
No, Brian.
All right.
It's his committee.
Brian.
Okay. Yes, this is, let me get it up here. This is the permitless alterations policy and variance moratorium policy. We've all received the staff report, and I submitted a revision B, which included two sets of changes. One was on the effective date, and the other one was on the definition of Category 3. And so, in summary, what this resolution is, there's actually two separate resolutions here. But the first one is to allow like-for-like replacements. And it has the restrictions that it has to be same envelope location as existing items, same power connection, voltage, amperage as existing items. So if you're thinking about a AC system, it has to fit into the same location, same plug, and same power and amperage usage. As well as same or better function as existing system. So the intent here is not that someone could take a system out and put a much cheaper system in. And then same plumbing connections, and this is from the wall and the valve, of course. So we have a category 1, and this is replacement items that have already received alteration approval and are currently installed. So those are items like alteration refrigerators, stoves, microwaves, faucets, sinks, countertops, et cetera, et cetera. The list is shown there. Category 2 for component replacements in original unaltered areas. And again, it has to fit within the same envelope, location, power connections, voltage, amperage, better or same or better as existing, and same plumbing connection. So these include items like refrigerators, microwaves, dishwashers, kitchen countertops, etc. And of course, since these are mainly mutual-owned items, they do still need to go through resident services and arrange for the current system to be picked up. And of course, they want to do that because there's a credit with that. And then there's a category 3, and this applies to all manners. All the below items in this category are considered decorative and functional changes, and such do not require additional notification to United Mutual or manner alterations. And these are things like closet doors, internal closet doors, cabinet hardware like a pole, painting. I don't think we got painting in there. There is a comment here about installation of hard surface flooring, but it does need to fit within the resolution 01-18-115. These will be grandfathered in, so this is a 6-month trial period. And if this should go away, these changes within the 6 months will be grandfathered in. Deployment, this is basically how people will use it. They will need to inform manner alterations, and what we're asking is that a dedicated mailbox be set up for this. And people should include their manner number and a letter in the email of the subject line. So if it's manner 111, not to pick on anyone, but X, for example, that should be in the subject line of the email. Pictures of existing unit and replacement unit should be included in there, and manner alterations will acknowledge the email through auto reply. So this really reduces the workload on manner alterations. They are being consumed, and they're kind of like, that cartoon with the guy on the treadmill. They're running fast, and this is an effort to slow down the intake, if you will, so that they can concentrate on what they need to be doing. The effective date on this will be February 9th, which is today, but we do need have a mechanism for this to be implemented. There will be this is a trial period, so after 4 months, this should be reviewed for effectiveness and determine if it should be continued, revised, or rescinded. I don't know if you want to go into the other one. I'll just cover the other one while I have the floor. And the second one is a 6-month moratorium on variances. Again, this will help manner alterations, if you will, catch your breath. Manner variances require a lot of work and time on the manner alteration staff. So what this is a proposal to put a moratorium on that, and so that they can continue to work on what they have on their plate right now. And this becomes effective on May 9th. So we're just not closing this off right away, but we want to be fair to the members. But again, this gives manner alteration some breathing room, but it doesn't close things off today. It becomes effective on March 9th. There's a financial analysis on this, attachment 3, and it will reduce cost, and that's much the intent of this. So that concludes my comments.
You made the motion. Is there a second for this motion? Carl seconds it. Okay, now we have discussion. Manuel.
Yes, thank you, Sue. I think this is a great program going forward, but I do caution us because we know even people, when they go through alterations and the city and all that we run into problems. So this is going to have to be monitored very carefully. On attachment number 1, proposed items there's 2 that bother me because they do involve other work. One is the hot water heaters, and the other one is the central air conditioning and heating systems. Because usually the hot water heaters, when they get involved in that, is when they want to move them from the interior space to an exterior space. And so I've got a concern with that one. The central air, definitely, they end up cutting into the ceilings because they have to put in vents or into the walls and put in the ducting. And I know that there's even been some problems when in certain units they install the system where they put the what do you call it?
Right now, neither of those are like for like. They do not go in the same area, so therefore they would not be covered by this. Only replacing the water heater in the situ with no new piping, and only putting an air conditioner in the wall where the old one was. So these are not covered by this.
Well, that's not what it says here. It's alteration central air. Okay.
Can I just interject here for a minute? And first of all, go on.
One last comment. And then the other one that's not listed on here that I think that a resident could easily do is dual pane windows. So was any thought given to that? That's it.
Okay, go ahead, Brian. Brian, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So dual pane windows, actually, we did consider that, Manny, and dependent upon the weight and all that, that just seemed to be a huge task. It gets into cutting stuff, and so we kept that one out. So go back to your first question. This is about these are upgrades, alteration hot water heaters and alteration central air and split system. So first thing, and I should have mentioned it before, but people still need to get a city permit. So if they're doing these functions and there's a city permit required, they need to get the city permit done, and they need to have it inspected for that. So this just does not give carte blanche. And the other thing is this has to fit into the same envelope. And we do have verbiage in here that says that they should not be cutting into the wall, releasing what could be material that contains asbestos and other things. So I hope we have those 2 items covered for you.
Okay, Cash, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My only question, and probably you guys have already taken care of it, but how are we going to know which manners have been altered without permits? And will there be confusion because we won't have any tab if we don't have correct information on each manor.
There is a form. Go ahead, Brian.
Yes, so they are required to send an email to a dedicated email box at Manor Alterations, informing Manor Alterations that these changes have been made, and they need to include a picture of the previous and new systems. So if we don't have those records and they go into resale, for example, then that's where a discrepancy would occur and be caught.
Okay.
So we do have a traceability on every unit that's being altered permitless. Thank you.
Okay. Carl, we're taking a vote. Carl?
Yes.
Andre?
Who is against?
Yes.
Is there anybody against it?
Who is against?
Okay, I got it, Azar.
I'm gonna abstain.
You're going to abstain.
I'm abstaining.
Okay, we're done with the vote. All right, we're done. Moving on. Thank you, Azar. Okay, Netta, and are you ready with the Resident Advisory Committee?
So if you want, I can just use it for the media and communication report because we don't have the meeting over there, and then I describe that slide. I think maybe it's better.
Quickly now, and then we'll
get there.
Sure. Okay. Due to the problem we're having with no face-to-face meetings, the Resident Advisory Committee was not really able to do their job correctly. We had a lot of excellent volunteers that were long-term people who were assisting us in this, and we can't use them. And so we have decided for a discontinuance until we can have face-to-face meetings of the Resident Advisory Committee. We will be taking, first off, everyone needs to call resident service if they have a problem. If you feel that the problem is not being solved correctly, or you've gotten feedback that you don't like or whatever, then you can contact a director. And we will have, we have directors and we have some volunteers that are willing to take these phone calls to try to take care of the problem. We don't want you going to more than one director. You can't shop around for somebody who's willing to do more than anybody else, but we are going to try to hear your problems and try to solve them as best we can. So we will be putting up a listing of the phone numbers and contact points. It will be part of the Breeze article that we will be writing, and we will be trying. Right now, you can call any director that you know, and we will try to assist you. But remember, first call resident service, because you will need to have a work order number for us to take it on. Thank you. All right, we're on to committee reports. Treasurer.
Yes, Madam Chair. On January 26th, we had a finance meeting, and I will give that report in a few minutes. I want to just announce that the next meeting will be March 30th, 2021, in case at 1:30, in case anyone wants to watch. And before I go further, I am asking, please, from VMS that put clear information for residents, how they can watch this one is live. I really appreciate it because many of them, they ask me, and I even don't know how they can watch. So I appreciate that work. With that said, we are going to the treasurer report. The first slide is about income statement. And this all information is a year to date December 31st, 2020, which is the whole year at this point. You can see the total revenue is $44.4 million. and we end up with the expenses of 42.3 million, and the minus these two give us a little bit above the 2 million for the revenue in favor of United. Next page, please. Next slide. Thank you. This slide is about operating portion, which is for finance. So you can see regarding to the operating part, we got a total revenue of 31.4, almost 31.5 million, and we have a total expenses of 31.9. Therefore, we got a deficit for the operating part for 472,000. In slide 3, this slide we comparing income statement with budget to see how we are. As you can see, again, if you go back to the total revenue, when I said total revenue, I mean all the assessment revenue and non-assessment revenue. So you can see the total revenue, we end up with the variance in favor is 486,000. And as you can see, for the expenses, total expenses, again, was in the favor of United by 3.5 million. We end up with a variance of about a little bit above $4 million for the year of 2020. In the slide 4, please. Here a little bit give you where those $400 million comes. So you can see the first one and the most one is from employee compensation is $2.3 million favorable in favor of United, and then the various result of staff furloughs based on COVID-19. As you can see, the next to that is material and supplies is almost 1.5 million in several areas. Again, due to COVID-19, that all material that's supposed to be used in the outside services, we didn't buy and we didn't do it for 3 months from March to July. As you can see, the next one is favorable to 1 million, a little bit above 1 million in outside services. Same scenario for mostly is putting out for 3 months all the projects that are supposed to be in those months due to COVID-19. Unrealized gain and loss, you can see is a $329,000. These are the investments that are ready for the sale. And then so we got this much as a favor to the United. The only item that is not favor to United is insurance. And I am sure by now many people talk about that. And this is obviously is about a high premium that we got it at the renewal based on many effects, especially about the wildfire that we had in California. So this is the only one unfavorable compared to the other one. Can we go to the slide 5, please? Thank you. This is pie chart. It's kind of nicer to the eyes, so you can see where the percentage is. The first, we have a few pie charts that I would like to share. The first one is non-assessment revenue, which is 1.7 for the year of 2020. And the highest, as you can see, comes from investment income, 21%, followed with the unrealized gain, 19%, and the high for the fee and charges, 18%. Of course, this was this year, 2020, as a little bit lower than usual, but still is covered for the 18% of that. I gave you a few seconds so you can follow with the other percentage for laundry, miscellaneous, process fee. And in page, slide 6, here we are checking the same, but with the property tax. So we are considering all the total expenses, including property tax. So you can see we have again 29% of the all revenue goes to the compensation, and this part is property sale tax, which already we got it from the residents and pay it by them. So this 28% is property sale tax, followed by the huge one, 18% of outside services. These are all expenses. How this 42.3 million expenses by percentage goes to the different category that you can see here. If we can get to the next one, which is slide 7, please, is more interesting because can we have a slide 7, please?
Yes, it looks like we're having some technical difficulties. One moment.
Okay, we can look at this chart. A pie chart is always good to look at them. And we figure out what is this percentage. The reason the next chart is more interesting to me is that this big part of this chart, which is property sales tax, it totally has a separate income by itself from the resident. So we take that one off and totally focus on the expenses. That's why the next chart is more eye-catching than this one. But it seems it's thinking.
Why don't you go ahead and give the percentages?
Okay. I think. Did we get it? No. Okay. What we should do, Chris? Should we? Can you do it, or we should move? Can you give update to us? Chris?
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Then in that case, I just give my percentage. The next chart actually is more important for me because it gives you, take this sales tax out. So in that case, we have if you see that chart, you can see, there you go, it's coming. Thank you, Chris, you did a great job. So you can see this chart, why is important. Can you see this big chunk? Now is the all expenses, is 40% compensation. If you add to the 25% outside service, which is kind of labor and compensation again, we just bring the people from outside of the village. So we end up with, what does mean that? That means we spend 65% of the revenue just for the compensation and labor. And the rest of them, you can see that part is the different things or material or supplies that we're buying for them. So this gave a good information for you that how much we are, revenue pays for the compensation to doing job in this United, for the part of the United, which is very important and eye-catching for me. Let's go to the page 8, please. This chart, we're talking about funds, which we are all concerned about that. As you know, we have two funds, contingency and reserve funds. I go to the first one, contingency. you can see the contribution for this year is 799,000. Expenditures was above $1 million. So we end up with the balance at the end of 2020. We have 628,000 in contingency account. And for the reserve, this year contribution was a little bit above 12 million, with the expenditures was close to the 9 million. And this was smaller than budget, as I said, because of that 3 months COVID, that there wasn't much work, essential work in the village or at the part of United. So we end up with the surplus of the total amount in the reserve, 2.4 million, almost $20.5 million. So as we are talking for the end of December, the reserve is 20.5 million almost, and the contingency is $628,000 in the balance. Next page, please. This is good because this bar chart is easy to eyes to understand. We are comparing the fund balance compared to last 5 years, from 2016 to 2020. The average line that you can see on the top for the last 5 years was $21 million. And you can see at 2020, we are almost, actually, I don't know this bar who made it, it should be a little bit less, because at this point we are 20.5. It's just 500,000 less than the average line for the last 5 years. 2020 end up with 20.5. So if we are going to the page 10. This is about the resale history. Normally, we compare with the last 3 years, 2018 to 2020. As you can see, this year, we end up with 332 units in United was sold, which was about 34 units less than last year. However, the average of price end up with 257,000, which is 3,000 more than, almost 2,000 more than last year. So average price was a little bit upper this year. However, we sold 34 units less, and I am sure this is affected by COVID as well. This is the resale report and basically at the end of the treasurer. However, right here, I would like to add a comment that if it is possible, because resale history, as you can see at the end of your package, we have 4 pages about that, is just information that we are giving. If it is possible, we receive this one by email rather than hard copy. So first of all, we can save it and save a little bit time and paper from the VMS staff. So at this point, this was treasurer, and then I have a report for the finance as well. Madam President, should I keep going or I just answer the question?
I don't know that there's any questions, so go ahead.
There is one that Cash asked, what is the compensation for Third Mutual difference from the United? I have not access for them. I don't know. I would be happy. Actually, I asked this question from Sue the other day, and she said that you can go to the website and see there. But I might do, but I don't have comparing at this point. Then we are going to the Chris, could you put this a statement of revenue, because without they are seeing reading some bunch of numbers doesn't make sense. Can we have that page?
Which page?
The page that is in the package is 6 out of 9. The topic is a statement of revenue and expenses. This is how I can report the finance.
Well, let's move on, and we'll come back to you for your thing. Let's get through the reports, and then we'll come back. Go ahead, Brian, on architecture. You've probably done something.
Yes, thank you. We had a committee meeting on January 21, and that's where we first talked about this resolution that was presented today. We had an interim meeting 2 weeks after that to vote and approve on that resolution. And, I do need to commend Robbie and his team for helping to make that happen. We appreciate that. Our next meeting will be on February 18th. Thank you.
Okay, Cash?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The member hearing committee met on January 28th, and let me thank both the members, Feza and Elsie, for their cooperation. There were a total of 6 cases presented. In one case, where smoking violations were discussed, we made HOA was advised to seal the unit to avoid future disturbance. Second, in another case where there was excessive violence and battery of the victim was discussed, the staff recommendation was made even harsher by using stronger language for the termination of membership from may be to shall be, will be terminated. So we are not taking violence lightly in this community. The next meeting is on February 25th at 9 a.m. It's a closed meeting, so it's not open to public. Thank you.
Okay, Elsie, governing docs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm afraid I lost my mouse for a moment, but I'm moused up again. Governing docs met on January 21st. We welcomed 3 new advisors in addition to Dick Rader, Ms. Juanita Skillman, Bevan Strom, and Mary Stone joined us, which was very nice. They're very experienced advisors. What we pretty much did was, as we've already discussed, the sublease policy and qualifiers for subleasing your manor. We, as a group with staff involved, we created. Manny had done all the heavy lifting, and we just tweaked it a little bit and produced the policy that we voted on today. And that's basically what we did. We also discussed document verification for income requirements for resales. And that was just that, a discussion. Nothing was done to change anything. So our next meeting will be February the 11th, 2121 at 1:30, and will be a virtual meeting. Thank you.
It's February 18th, but go ahead.
What did I say? Wait, what did I say?
11th. Go ahead, Andre.
Oh, it's February 18th. You're correct. Sorry.
Andre, landscape, please.
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair. We will have a meeting on February 11th. Just here, give you an update of a preview of what's coming up. We will talk about a staffing update. At this point, it seems like we have all the, it's fully staffed, but if there's any staff missing due to injury or illness, we're going to talk about how do we make up the shortage, staff shortage on that. And we're going to talk about the landscape manual update, which is a living document. We will make it more and more complete and share with everybody the policy and procedures with landscape, so there's no misunderstanding. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Okay, and we will talk about the issues from the residents and talk about how to share with people about some frequently asked questions, landscape, website communication, that kind of thing. And we will also talk about the KPIs. Landscape currently has some KPI study, the effect of their management adjustment. We will talk about that, and we will talk about new KPIs that will foresee as the leading KPI indicators, find out what's happening pretty soon in the future. You know, what will be the problem in the future. And we'll talk about the performance improvement proposals and water district bills, and look at items of landscape request forms. Anybody interested should be join us, and we'll broadcast the information how to join this discussion if you watch it and present your point of view, member comment to us. Thank you very much, Chair.
Okay, maintenance and construction, Carl. Carl?
Yep. The last United M&C meeting took place on December 18th, and at the last board meeting, I discussed what had been transacted at that meeting. The next meeting is February 24th at 9:30. All are invited, and you can basically attend via Granicus, and the weekly newsletter provides you the information as to how to get to Granicus. Thank you.
Okay, Netta, communication.
Actually, we didn't have any meeting for the communication, just a few meetings for the brief, how we can put the content in the brief. But regarding to your report, Sue, I just wanted to show that the slide, if it's Grant, did you prepare it, Grant? Can you put that slide out?
Yes, one moment.
Thank you. As we know, since we just discontinued the resident advisory, as you said, the few directors, they just wanted to help the residents. And I'm going to put the email out on the Breeze website and Globe. And please just email us if you have any problem, issue, or even you want to share the knowledge that you have, and we can help the improvement the community. And as you said, is one of our best advisors, Mrs. Nancy Lennon, me, President Margolis, and Director Andre Tong and Director Azar Askari. They want to encourage us to, to help you guys and put the email outside. Please contact us and give us your opinion too. Thank you so much.
Azar, you can go ahead and comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is why Grant create a public information for all of the directors? He sent it to us a month ago. Why not all of those information should be in this one, since we canceled this committee? Why we should select just a few one? This is not a committee, it's normal committee that some people be there. My question is, why is a cherry pickup and not the email of all director be in this? Because this is a pilot. This is a pilot. We don't know what is the result. So this is a new thing. That's my question.
Okay. These are the people that volunteered. We will look at if they get overloaded, and we will put up more names if necessary. Okay, let's go on to, do you have, is the slide available for Azar?
It is.
Yes, for GRF, actually, we did, Madam Chair, we did not have any meeting, finance meeting for GRF in January. Therefore, the last meeting was December 16, 2020, which I already gave the update about that. And the next meeting for GRF Finance will be February 17, 2021 at 1:30 p.m.
We'll go through the reports and then we'll go back to Azar. Thank you. GRF Strategic, Andre?
Yes, strategic committee planning, we haven't scheduled it yet, the next one yet. However, we did have a talk about the customer experience subcommittee meeting where VMS proposed quite a few improvements with the customer experience. And to summarize them, they are mostly on the communication side, they are on the efficiency side and effectiveness side. We talked about the CARS, which is a corrective action reports process, and VMS is going to implement that. We talked about a few KPIs, which will be used as oversight for committee measurements. And overall, we are heading the right direction, and we want to make sure that our strategic plan will include all the areas that will help this committee a better, make this committee a better place. Thank you very much.
Okay, Addington, CAC.
Thank you, Madam Chair Margolis. CAC met on, oh, and incidentally, this meeting does, the CAC does meet on February the 11th. I'm sorry I messed up that last date, but that's the next meeting for the CAC. But for the last meeting, which was January 14th, we discussed the Garden Center gates and plot access for Garden Center 2. Chief Rojas is looking into some of the access issues. We discussed possibly opening up the Restaurant 19 to keep diners on campus, but of course, since then, the 19 has reopened for outdoor dining. A lot of this is dated because it's COVID. Also, there were some complaints about people going out of the village to play sports and then bringing back their germs and the virus into the village. And so people said we should open up everything in the village so people wouldn't leave. And that was discussed, and it was determined that we need to discuss some of the stuff with attorneys and how it sits with state policies for the COVID. There was a lot of talk about COVID. There's still a limitation on classes, but Recreation is offering new activities constantly. It's all in the blast, or there are websites. There's something called ActiveNet. And there are guidelines that link you to the virtual classes. And and then the new activities are mentioned in eBlast. Chair Pearlstone discussed utilization tables, whereby basically the cost per person per activity will eventually be definable. And just so we have a better idea of how much each activity costs per person. Also, we discussed Aliso Creek signage. The general consensus was that the current signage is fine. However, Chairman Bunny from GRF, she would like a "Don't Feed the Ducks" sign. And equestrian fees were revisited. And that was it. And the next meeting is February 11th, and it really is on February the 11th for CAC. Thank you.
Okay. Andre, Landscape.
GIF Landscape Committee will be, every other month. So the next meeting will be February 10th. I will have more reports during our next board meeting. Thank you.
I believe the meetings are quarterly, not monthly, but okay. Maintenance and construction, Carl?
The GRF M&C Committee had a meeting on December 9th. At the last board meeting, I discussed what had been transacted at that meeting. In the interim, the committee did perform a walk down of the driving range to see up close and personal what problems need to be resolved in that area before we spend all the money that is recommended to be spent. We are working on a follow-up to that walk down. Our next meeting is scheduled virtually for tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. And again, you can find out how to attend via Granicus in the weekly newsletter. Thanks. And then there's Clubhouse One Ad Hoc Committee. We have not had a meeting since September 20th. A meeting will be scheduled soon. This is a long-term project, and various members of this committee are addressing various issues surrounding the potential changes. In the meantime, VMS has put together a potential bid document that will be submitted to an architectural firm to address with the community what thoughts the people in Laguna Woods may have regarding this building and the other clubhouses. This is still a work in progress, since it is long-term. That's all I have.
Thank you. Netta, media?
Media and communication. Yes, media and communication meeting held on Monday, January 18 at 1:30, and Ms. Pauline actually introduced us Nathan Rosenberg as the broadband group's chair. And Mr. Rosenberg highlighted that the village has one of the best cable systems that the company has seen in the country. That it's a valuable asset, and that the staff has shown its ability to run and maintain a highly complex cable system. And Mr. Rosenberg's main point were that Laguna Woods Village has a high-quality cable system that is maintained well at below market prices by a staff that knows the system completely. Nowadays, cable television is becoming less important compared to internet service are becoming more important now. And Mr. Rosenberg also pointed out possible weakness of the internet service as well. Divided nodes and fiber to the curb were mentioned as possible solution to extending cable services in a market where internet is overtaking cable. Ms. Pauline stated that the COVID exposure notification are recommended by our legal advisor. And she also discussed the COVID-19 vaccine lead with the Orange County Healthcare Agency and Memorial Care. This day broadcast, Friday email blast, online FAQs are among the communication effort to inform residents. The future agenda for the media and communication is a broadband financial and overview of the contract renewal. And the next meeting is going to be Monday, February 22 at 1:30 p.m. Thank you.
Okay, security, Armendariz.
Wait, ma'am, what about the,
I think you skipped,
Mobility,
Chelsea,
okay,
but I'll see
mobility, I'm sorry.
That's okay, this will be really short. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Director Armendariz. The regular meeting of the Golden Rain Foundation Mobility and Vehicles Committee, I'm happy to announce, met on Wednesday, February the 3rd, 2021. The last meeting was October 7th, 2020. I mean, that's a long time between meetings, but it didn't take that long. We went over ridership data and review of the 2021 approved vehicles for purchase, because you know the mobility and vehicles covers not only the bus and transportation, it also covers fleet purchases, and we approved some money to kind of out of the, we have a miscellaneous little miscellaneous vehicles slice of our budget, and we needed a little piece of it to get a new Ford 350 pickup, and the next that's used by the concrete crew. So our next meeting will be April the 7th, 2021 at 1:30. Thank you.
Okay, now Manuel.
Thank you, Sue. Madam Chair. The last meeting was held on December 28th, and although I gave that report, I'd like to mention again that the major thing that came up in that meeting was a recommendation for a policy that at certain major events, and this had been requested by certain clubs, such as the baby boomers, when they have some of these big entertainment and dances, they had requested if security personnel could be available. And so the new policy was that it's not mandatory, but VMS will now make security personnel available if requested. And I believe the hourly rate was in the $40 range per individual. This is not mandatory. It's at the election of whoever's requesting it. And in a subsequent GRF meeting, a resolution was passed adopting this policy. The next meeting is to be February 22nd, 2021 at 1:30 p.m. as a virtual meeting. That concludes my report.
Okay, Netta, the next, just
Can
give
I
us.
ask a question regarding to that?
Go ahead.
I read the paper that VMS decided which event can have this security, which not. Is this decision by not the person that have the event, but by VMS? Is it correct or not?
No, that's incorrect. I attended the meeting and I clarified it and I said, I want to make sure this is not mandatory. And they added that language in there. It's at the request of whoever is wanting that security.
So in that case, if it is VMS decided, that means this is mandatory.
No. If I'm a club president and I'm having an event and I decide I want to have security for that event, I can request it. Now, if VMS puts on an event, that's a totally different story. That's not what I'm saying, okay?
Okay, let's take that to the committee if you need to get it further. Okay, Netta, traffic court hasn't met, right, until?
Actually, the traffic hearing is met on Wednesday, January 20th, and we held the 8 traffic hearing and found 8 cases guilty. 4 of these cases were guilty with no fine. And the next meeting is supposed to be Wednesday, February 17 at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Thank you.
Disaster preparedness, Cash.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The committee met on the 26th of January. DPTF members brought brought information on microgrid electric emergency needs from a company called Emerson. The cost per hour kilowatt was 13 to 15 cents, which is lower than the Edison cost. The radio check was done, and the response showed that the network is in good condition and ready to access in case of disaster. The good neighbor captain's list is being updated, and I would recommend all the residents who are listening to be leaders in their own community, in their own cul-de-sac, and put your name in as a GNC, a group neighbor captain for your cul-de-sacs. Possibility of internet outage exists in the 3rd mutual area because some of their towers are in an area where they might collapse in case of a disaster, earthquake, or something like that. A radio antenna is to be installed, and Mutual 50 is agreeable with it on the towers, which will increase our radio capability transmission much better when necessary. This will also double our messaging capability during any disaster. The team established for pet evacuations plans during disaster is partnering with Red Cross for this efforts, and that will be taken care of all our pets in case of disaster. And the next meeting is scheduled to be March 30th at 9:30 p.m. and it's a virtual meeting. Thank you.
Okay. I'll give the report for the Insurance Ad Hoc Committee. We have 3 bids from our responses from our RFPs. We will be having Zoom presentations from them on February 18th, and then we will go into deliberation as to how we go forward. And that is the status of it right now. These are closed meetings because it's an RFP response. All right. Azar, you had one more thing. We'll do that in director's comments.
Oh, can I give the report for the finance or not yet?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Go ahead now and do it.
Well, if Chris put the...
Can we get the slide up that she would like?
Yes.
While we're waiting for the slide to come up, is there any other director that would like to make a comment? Manuel, go ahead.
Thank you. Just a reminder on Azar's, okay, go ahead. I'll come back.
Okay, go ahead, Azar.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Thank you, Chris. There is a slide on the right side, plus and negative. If you plug in plus, it becomes more visible for you because this is very a small font. So this is, as you can see, is the statement of revenue and expenses. The first three part column is for the current month, which at that time was December. I will focus on the year to date. That means that is more important. That shows the whole view of what happened in the revenue and expense in 2020. I'll just pick up some important numbers to share with all the board. You can see the line 1, the variance of if you're focusing on the variance in favor of the United by 554,000 assessment, operating assessment. And if you go, this is basically the total give you amount of variance compared to operating assessment and addition to restriction funds. So the rest of this, on the bottom, you can see non-assessment. And you can see, for example, number 5, line 5, if you look at, is fee and charge for services. You can see it's negative 226 compared to the budget because of, again, COVID. We didn't have much request for the services, so they didn't collect money. And next to that, the highest is 329 in line 8, which is unrealized gain loss. And that was in favor of United, 329,000. And we end up with the total revenue compared to assessment and non-assessment with 487,000 as a variance in favor of the United. The rest of the bottom, as you can see, is expenses. The first one, actually, number 12, you can see is compensation, and related to compensation is about $2.3 million. And sorry about that. And then material and supplies is the next to that, is $1.4 million. These are in variance, 2.3, and in favor of I'm talking about the favor of the United. But if you can see, go to the line 18, outside services. If you can see outside services, can you see this huge number, $2.1 million in month of December? The total budget, if you notice, 8.6 is for the whole year. And I have no clue how 1/4 of the budget just used in December. I have asked questions for that. Is this job was a rush job? Did we did it all of them in December? I have not received any response from VMS staff yet, but I can see that $2.1 million just spent outside service in 1 month of December. So that was the huge difference that I just noticed it. and I wanted to share with all of you about that. The rest, you can see the biggest one is insurance in line 23. The variance, we were short in $1 million, and of course, you know the reason. I will not repeat that one again. And if you look at the bottom of the expenses, we can see we got the variance of $3.5 million in variance in favor of United. If you add this one with that almost 500 on the top, we end up again with above $4 million variance in favor of United. And basically that was in a very short, in 2 minutes report. I try as fast as possible, just the important things so everybody knows, especially those people that they are not in finance committee. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, let's go to comments. Cash, go ahead.
I really take my comment back. I didn't have any. I had a question for Azar, but I can talk to her later. Thank you.
Okay.
Nice meeting.
Juanita?
Thank you, Madam Chair. On behalf of Village Management Services, I would like to thank those members of the board who have been volunteering on the vaccination program. It has made a big difference having you all out there weekends, helping with crowd control, wheelchair vehicles, stirring people into the right place, answering questions, etc. So on behalf of VMS, I really appreciate all your help.
Okay, Carl?
Yeah, it was noted by Jeff that they're going to be changing the protocol, if that's the way I understood it, for this particular weekend with the vaccinations. And I would suggest that they put a blast out prior to the end of the week blast to indicate what the change in protocol is so that people are forewarned and they know that, one, that it's now for the 65 and olders, and then two, what's the new protocol, the fact that they're going to use code red or what have you. I would suggest that happen early in the week, like maybe today or tomorrow, so that people can be in the know as to what to expect.
Well, unfortunately, they don't know how much they're going to have of vaccine, so it's difficult to tell them ahead. But we will let them take care of that. Okay, Azar?
Thank you. And I have two comments. The first one, if it is possible to saving time and money for VMS staff, you, as a president, make a schedule for which director wants to receive all these package that coming almost 2-3 times a week to us by email. Maybe some of us, we wanted email, and some of us, we wanted with the hard copy. And if you send that schedule to the VMS staff, they know how to do it. That's one thing. And number two, I am asking if it is possible, especially Mr. Parker put an effort on a portal, because when I type any research in the tab research, nothing comes up. And that is the most popular things when people go to a huge website like United, Village website. The first things I type it that what I wanted, but normally when I type in any language, in any way, in any version, nothing comes up. But I know those information is there. Bring that attention. Maybe that save less calling to the people and resident service. Thank you so much.
Okay, we are going to adjourn the meeting for lunch. We will come back at, it's 11.
Excuse me, Sue, I didn't get my chance to make my comments.
You weren't in the box, but go ahead.
Well, I know, but I got cut off because Azar wanted to do this presentation. Can we give her this chart, please?
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. Just a reminder, I put together a list now for November and December of the financial shortcomings. And the reason why this is very important is because we're in the process of trying to hire a new CFO. So we need answers to these items, and I've been very specific, and Jeff and Siobahn, you have copies of my listings. And particularly, the reimbursements from the GRF, a year and a half later, and it's just happening. So these things, not only do we need answers, but we need to make sure that whatever wrong practices have been followed, stop immediately, even before the new CFO comes on board. So these things are all cleaned up. So we need answers and we need actions. Thank you.
And we're going to demand interest if it doesn't get cleaned up.
Sorry, Sue, can I mention two things?
Sure.
Is one, first I agree with Carr because as I told you yesterday, a few of my friends, they are missed that phone number that is coming from the memorial care about the code red. If we can just inform residents that they are calling them too, it's going to be great. And regarding the Azar question about the older director, we are going to put it in the brief behind the map, because always in the brief we have a map of the Laguna Village. We are going to put it all the directors' numbers and the email in behind that page, just for your information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, it's 11:15. We will resume at 11:45. Thank you.
What about director's comment?
Let's make it 12. It's not enough time.
Okay, we'll make it 12. And Reza, I asked everybody to put it in a question mark in, and if you didn't get your question mark, go ahead now.
Before, we did not have to put question marks there. Everybody in turn.
Go ahead and give your comment, please.
I was just going to ask you a question. Last meeting, I was in security committee. I didn't even attend one committee. And this meeting, I'm out of it. I don't know what's the logic behind these changes continuously.
Okay. I will take that up with you personally when I figure out what's going on. You are on the security committee, from what I can see. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you at 12.
Are we going to use the same link? We're using the same link?
We're using the same link.
Okay.